that you've found, maybe some hard cases or tips and tricks, things along those lines, and differences between traveling to dive cold versus traveling to dive warm water.
Yeah.
DPVs we talked about a little bit. So
Well, let's get into it. I've already recorded the intro for it, so we don't need to record that.
okay.
And I will just segment the same introductions from everybody that we recorded on the last episode. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the appeal of diving, traveling places to dive. Chris, Matt, James, what do you guys got?
Yeah, so as far as diving outside of your local area, I mean, Lake Pleasant, we're going to use quite often because that's where we go. That's our reference point for the majority of the diving that we do because it's easy. But there's times when we want to go actually ocean diving. There's times when we want to go cenote diving, cave diving, go and see some wrecks. I mean, we can see some wrecks, but it's not
Yeah.
anything too crazy in our lake, right? It's a skipper boat or, something small
Sailboat,
passenger
yeah.
boat or something like that. But yeah, there's always that appeal of going out and going and seeing those wrecks, going to see the cenotes and the fish, and just change of environment is relaxing. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, for most of us, right, when we go travel somewhere and we're planning to dive, we're usually going, I mean, it's vacation, right? Like not many of us are going somewhere for work, and it's going to be oh, hey, like while I'm here for work, I'm going to get a dive or so in. Like we're normally on vacation.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the biggest appeal of that is I get to shut my work off and my emails, my messages and stuff, and I get to not have to be a responsible adult as far as IT stuff or my regular job is concerned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I guess that's some of the appeals that comes with traveling and diving, as well as international diving for us. Like when we want to go down and get some warmer water, obviously we're not going to go to California for that because it's colder water.
Yeah.
Same thing with the East Coast. I mean, it's a little bit warmer over there, but it's still not rash guard.
Sure.
Usually we'll go down, we'll hit Cozumel, we'll hit Playa, Bon Air, and go hit these places, and it's all rash guard diving right down there, and the amount of gear that we have to bring really reduces, especially when we're jumping on planes.
Absolutely. And that is one of the things that, and that's an appeal, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm down, it's no secret that Cozumel is one of my favorite places outside of the US to dive. It's warm water. It's beautiful. I can dive 50-degree water here in February, and then after my recommended amount of time, I can go jump on a flight and go to Mexico and be in shorts and a rash guard, and the water's 85 degrees. So
Yeah.
like that's a big turn on for choosing places like that. I don't have to pack as much stuff.
Yeah, half the gear.
Yeah, I can take my BC. For those that know that usually when I'm going somewhere warm, there's usually a pink suit that's involved. But I mean, it's shorts and rash guards, with the exception of cenote or cavern diving, right?
Yeah.
And I usually rent a wetsuit or borrow a wetsuit while I'm down there.
If it's needed.
Yeah.
if it's needed. Some of the cenotes, yeah, like a 3 mil maybe.
All of the cenotes definitely, with as long as the dives are, yeah, all of the cenotes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big allure, is having to not have to drag a bunch of extra stuff, right? Like I don't have to drag exposure, or I don't have to drag thick exposure gear along with me. A pair of tights and rash guard, long sleeve rash guards and shorts are perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I like bringing different stuff too, because like moving more towards like the technical side of the diving. Um, I like bringing different styles of flashlights, which canister flashlights, which are usually corded. So I got a little bit more gear involved with that. Um, I'll bring my small DPV with me as well, which is usually a carry-on item. It's got a couple small batteries. I mean, smaller than maybe a small suitcase is
Yeah.
what that comes with. But when it comes to warm water diving, it's neat because we can take most of the gear, most of the expensive gear, and pack it into our carry-on.
Yeah, I pack all of my gear actually. My entire dive kit goes into a carry-on. It all actually fits inside between my BC, my reg set, my fins, my boots, masks, computer boxes, camera equipment. It all packs down into one singular suitcase that gets rolled on and carried on. I check a suitcase for my clothes. The thought behind that is, if something were to not show up on time or just outright be lost, I would rather just buy clothes for a week in wherever I'm at, than have to deal with replacing and renting dive gear.
Yeah, renting dive gear in some of these locations can be a little sketchy,
Yeah.
right? I don't know about you guys, but I would, if I were to rent any gear, it definitely wouldn't be a regulator. BCs are kind of hit and miss. It depends, but regulators, I definitely want to have my own.
Well, so here's the thing with that. Christy learned this when she went to Australia last year. She was only going to do 1 day of diving, so she was only going to get 2 dives in. And so she opted to bring her reg set, her computer, and her mask. What she didn't take into account is her and I both dived the Scuba Pro Hydros Pro, and we both have the Scuba Pro Air 2s on there, so she doesn't have a traditional octo.
Oh
The
yeah.
BC that she rented, the quick disconnect for the inflator is a different size for someone with an Air 2 versus someone with a traditional octo. So she took her reg set for nothing because she couldn't use it. They could have swapped the inflator hose out and put an octo on hers, but that's not their rental gear, and I wouldn't have been okay with that.
Yeah.
So she ended up just using their octo, or their reg set and their BC.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What do you normally take?
Well, pretty much international travel. The only places I've been basically have been Cozumel and Playa for cenotes and stuff like that. Like DJ said, carry-ons, keep your vital stuff with you, reg set, computer, all the stuff. Well, for me, I got prescription masks, so I mean that is extremely key important for me. But yeah, I agree. Buying clothes down in Cozumel at the Mega is not a problem. Trying to get gear in a heartbeat, that could be a little interesting. So, but yeah, anytime I fly, and I also, in my baggage, I'll drop in air tags.
Oh yeah, that's
I'll
a good
drop in the
idea.
air tags because Cozumel, we took that connecting flight out of Dallas, and you got less than 45 minutes to make that connector. If that other bag doesn't make that transfer across the airport, you don't know where that bag's going to end up. So yeah, I definitely drop in air tags or the tiles so I can keep track on that bag and make sure, hey, the rest of it's coming with me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one of my tips is if you're going to do that, just drop in the tracking tags.
Yeah.
What about you, James? What's your process like?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time that I traveled for recreational diving.
I mean,
So
even with
for,
your tech stuff. I mean, I know the tech stuff is
yeah,
quite a bit different, but
yeah, it's just a lot of stuff, right? So, I think it kind of depends too. There's a couple of different strategies you can take. Some guys do pelican cases, right? And they'll just have two or three different pelican cases, and they'll have the carry on their small item. With us being divers, the budget airlines generally aren't a super good deal for us because we've got luggage, right? So once you factor in the luggage cost, you're into one of the main carriers generally. And then there's people with status. So once you get status, who really cares, right? It's like, oh, I get 3 free bags,
yeah.
then that's what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, that's generally my approach, and I pack in soft bags because the Pelicans weigh too much, and I'm bringing in DPVs and rebreathers and lights and all these sort of things. And so yeah, I'm 2 to 3 bags that I check depending on location where I'm going, how much gear I've got to bring, and then a pretty heavy carry-on and a very heavy personal item.
So say you're going down to Tulum because I know you were just down there earlier this year. And I know, right, it's two similar but very different kind of dive trips, right? Like I went down to go cenote diving for a couple days while you were down there doing some cave diving. I know your cave diving loadout looks a lot different than mine, but like, what are you bringing down there? You're bringing? Are you diving the rebreather down there? Are you doing doubles or side mount? Are you bringing a dry suit down there? Or do you have just like a thin wetsuit? Like, what does that all look like?
Yeah, I think that trip, it's generally in Tulum, you can do some serious diving with just a rebreather, dry suit, light undergarments, um, and then sometimes you might want a DPV. But if you're only going to dive the DPVs 1 or 2 days, it usually makes sense to rent them, right? Because there's risk that it gets lost, damaged. And to travel with DPVs is just another level of expense and risk there.
Oh, sure.
So to answer your question, I think that was a 2 bag trip where dry suit. I didn't have the DPV, so that helps out a lot. And then I just actually that was I'm sorry, that was a 3 bag trip because I brought a camera rig, right? So big old Sony A7 S3, and that goes with a whole bunch of lighting and a whole bunch of batteries. And batteries really what kind of kicks us in the butt because
Oh, sure.
you have to carry those into the cabin, right? You can't check those.
Yep.
Um, and so yeah, I must have had 40 pounds of batteries and strobes and stuff like that, and then the DSLR case and all that sort of stuff. So that was a 3 bag trip, but if you don't bring the DPVs, don't bring the cameras, just do a rebreather and dry suit and all the reels and stuff that you need for cave diving. Um, you can get in. You can do 2 bags, no problem.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Nice.
Did you end up bringing the Sidewinder on that trip?
Probably. I have no idea. Um, I only dive a couple of rebreathers in the caves. I don't generally take the Prism to the cave. I've got that Flex 2. I've got that Sidewinder. Uh, those are kind of my go-tos for cave diving because even though a lot of cave diving is not side mount, most of it's actually back mount. Um, there's usually always an opportunity to do some tight side mount stuff, which I tend to enjoy. So I'll usually bring a side mount rebreather with me.
Nice.
So when you go down, you're not diving open circuit, then you're diving strictly side rebreather.
Yeah, very rarely. If you went to Tulum, for example, that's a really good place to do open circuit cave diving because everything's real shallow,
Yeah.
right? So a set of doubles can last you 2 hours. And that's
Yeah.
that's pretty good like value, right? You're thinking about a set of
Sure.
doubles. maybe even throw on a stage, and now you're doing some real penetration, on those caves, which is, just great. It's just fantastic. It's beautiful down there. World class cave diving, which you guys know,
Yeah.
and it's just really, that's a really good place for open circuit um, cave diving. Most, I'd say, the other hot spots, for the Americans, we're going to talk about Florida. It's deeper, so most people are doing rebreathers. I shouldn't say most people. Most people that want some serious time in there doing rebreathers, they have heavy steel doubles, but those suck.
Yeah, I've not done steel doubles yet, but I can only imagine trying to hump that kit up and down the entrance to a spring or a cave or something. So yeah, it sounds not great.
Well, that's,
It's
I guess,
terrible.
one of the advantages of the cenote diving that we did.
Yep.
That guy offered to lower your gear in the water for you, and I could see where that could be beneficial with a set of doubles.
Yeah, some of them you have to. The guide that I normally dive with down there dives side mount. And there's a couple of them where you can actually do they have the caves there off of the cavern area, but Takbeha and Takbelum, you can go down the stairs at Takbelum with your kit. At Takbeha you cannot go up and down the stairs with your kit on. It's a very small, narrow pass with the stairs, and it's just much easier to have your stuff hoisted down and back up.
That was kind of like the pit, right?
Yeah.
The pit was really steep. We had to go down backwards.
The pit was very steep. You had to go down backwards, but it's the stairs are wide open, right? So like there's enough room that you can carry your gear down there, or have the guy hoist it down for you and hoist it back out of
Yeah.
the water. At Takbeha, there's not enough room. Like you'll hit your valve or first stage on the rocks
Oh wow! Okay,
above your head, like as you're going into the entrance.
I can't wait to check those out.
They're so dope.
So I guess another thing, James, you've done some travel diving. Obviously, we've talked about you going to Michigan to the Great Lakes with a larger group of people. What's that kind of look like for you guys? Going from Arizona over to Michigan. I think you guys have kind of separated some of that up, right?
Yeah, so every travel instance is different, and it really pays dividends to link up with somebody that has done the travel before, whether it be a location they've done before or just the strategy. So for the Michigan trips, we end up taking a ton of gear. So actually what we do is we drive a truck up there, big 3/4 ton truck loaded with tanks and sorb and rebreathers and all that stuff, and then we have the group fly in with just kind of their one bag, or their carry-on and their one bag or whatever, and kind of some necessities, some things that they want, but we bust a lot of the gear up, and that works out pretty good for everyone. And then there's another kind of strategy that you can do, and you can kind of share parts, right? So if we're thinking about save a dive kits, which I know don't weigh much, but it's a good example. Like we don't need 10 save a dive kits on the same trip, right?
Yeah.
So let's just bring one and make sure it's a good save a dive kit. It's got everything that everybody needs. Combine that, and that saves the other 9 kits or whatever. Same thing with batteries, right? And instead of everybody bringing 2 extra batteries for their lights or strobes or whatever, let's just all dive the same gear, and then we have spares that we can share amongst the crew, and not everybody's bringing extra crap. Because if you just look at your scuba kit and nothing went wrong, it's not too bad. But when you start putting in a whole bunch of extra stuff, or what could be, or rigging or this and that, before you know it, you've packed, between the group, you might pack 100 pounds of extra crap that you don't end up using. So just having that experience with the group and that experience in the places that you're going, knowing what's available, what you can get there, what you can't get there, that'll be worth a lot, and it really saves on the stress of traveling. And then if something does break, how do you recover from that? Um, for example, I just got back from Bonaire. I know that the rebreather support for the Prism is fantastic there, so I brought like one of those cheap O-ring kits, and that was it. And then turns out one of the guys' rebreathers never made it on the plane.
Oh
So
man.
the airline, didn't. But it was like, no big deal. I know a guy. I know a couple of guys. Let's go check it out and see, if they got a rebreather to loan us. And shout out to Hens at X Pro. He's like, yeah, absolutely. He had one for us, and we missed no days of diving because of that. So it was again, just if you're experienced or if you've got somebody that's experienced in either the destination or the type of, diving that the team's doing, you can mitigate a lot of risk in that regard.
That's a great call out. I've not really thought about it like that. I know the shop that I teach for, when we travel as the leader of the trip, they require us to bring extra stuff, extra BC, extra reg set. I just out of habit bring an extra mask. I had been bringing an extra computer until my spare computer was lost at the lake. But yeah, I try not to bring a ton of extra stuff, but there is stuff that I do bring that's extra.
And some of us like to overpack, so I mean, I like to be prepared for any and all other things that can possibly happen or stuff like that. So, I'll pack all my stuff and then start weighing things and going, ooh, I'm definitely blowing the weight limit. So I'll have DJ come over to the house and then be like, no way, guy, you don't need this. Take this out.
Yeah,
Take this out. Start thinning me down because, I overthink it.
It all depends too. Like if we're traveling and we're jumping in a vehicle or something like that, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna bring more stuff than we
Sure.
probably would if we were going international, right? And and my save a dive kit, yeah. When I'm going to Catalina or something like that, I'm definitely taking 2 HDX totes with my gear, all my stuff, right? Plus the rebreather sitting on the seat. And I know some people complain because I take up a lot of space, but
You
it's usually your truck that we're taking.
it is. It is. So
I mean,
I
it's
get a
fine.
certain amount of real estate.
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
So, but
You're allowed to have that.
but thankfully, like that comes with the experience, like what James was talking about as well, and that brings up another point too when it comes to organization. Just knowing where you're going, what boat you're going to be on, and what that environment's going to look like. Real estate's pretty important on the boat, and being able to put those things in totes or crates or things like that, right? You only get a certain amount of square footage
Yeah.
in front of where your gear's actually sitting, but if you can actually stack your totes, you get that vertical square footage, right? You get that cubic footage in front of that too. And with dry suits and undergarments and everything in the one tote, and I could pull that out and then compress everything down. That makes things a lot easier. It helps out. It really does.
So the one experience that I've got with that, with being on the boat, I've done, we've done the bottom scratcher and gone to Catalina and stuff, and we've all been on that boat. The one that, James, I think you said you've done Blackbeards before. I know Chris and Matt have not. That was the first instance of having a very limited space. So on Blackbeards, you fly in, right? Because it's you fly into Nassau. And so your options are either, for at least for us here in Arizona, you're either taking a flight to Miami or, you know, Atlanta somewhere, and then taking a flight from there to Nassau, or you're flying into Miami, getting on a ferry and taking a 2.5 to 4 hour ferry ride from Miami to Nassau. When you board the boat though, because you're not, you know, you're not paying for a hotel for the week. You don't have the room. You have all of your luggage that you have all of your dive gear that you have your camera equipment that you have, and they flat out tell you you can't bring all this stuff on the boat. So what you end up doing is you section your stuff out. The absolute necessities that you need on the boat obviously go on the boat with you. And I mean, you could bring everything on the boat, but like your space that you have to store your equipment is your bunk, and like that's it.
Oh man.
So you sleep with that stuff in there. So like you get a little shelf for your dry clothes and stuff and everything like that, and your toiletries, or in my case, my CPAP machine. And so you're kind of limited to that space. So one of the things we did was Christy and we shared a suitcase for some clothes and stuff. And then what we did coming down there was we vacuum packed everything to pack it down smaller, so we could fit more and take less bags. And then what you do is the way we did our trip was we flew in a day early, stayed the night, boarded the boat the next day, and then did all of our diving and stuff, and then came back. And then we were going straight from the boat to the airport. So like we left a change of clothes to fly home in our suitcase on the dock. I mean, it gets put in a locked room and stuff like that. But we left our clothes to fly home in so we could save space on the boat. Any kind of roller bags, mesh bags, any of that stuff all stayed on the dock, because I mean, the way it works is it's done a lot like the bottom scratcher for reference. So like you put your gear together on your tank, and then you never take that stuff off your tank for the rest of the week. Like it's just there. So you don't have a need for, like, you're not making configuration changes to your gear unless you've had some kind of an issue or something like that. So you're not bringing a whole lot of extras.
Mm-hmm. And that's warmer water diving too, right? So
yeah.
you're not really bringing some of the thicker undergarments or dry suits, semi-dry.
Depending on when you go, I've heard people that do it in like a 3 mil or something. But yeah, you're not bringing a semi-dry. It's the Bahamas. You're not bringing a 7 mil. You're not bringing a semi-dry. You could bring, whatever you want, right? Like we talked about in the last episode, it's all personal comfort level. So if you're cold in, 85 degree water and a 7 mil is what you need, then yeah, sure, bring your 7 mil. But for most people, you're probably not bringing a 7 mil, a semi-dry, a dry suit, nothing like that.
Yeah. Hey, James, you were talking about previously about doing some ice diving. What did that transportation kind of look like on your end? As far as getting gear there, did you ship anything? Did you take everything on the plane?
So it depends on where the ice diving's taking place. If you're looking at like Plura, which I think is what I was talking about last time, but if you're looking at Plura, it's nice because they have a good amount of support for you. They've got tanks there. They've got maybe some rigging, depending on what you're looking for. They've got sorb, fills, all that sort of stuff. If you're doing something more remote, if you're doing an expedition in the Antarctic or Arctic, then obviously you've got crates and crates of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the dichotomy. That's what you've got. But you've got places where there is really good support, and all you have to do really is just pack batteries and heaters and thick undergarments and stuff like that. And then you've got places that you have to bring everything, and that's when the cost and difficulty just obviously just totally skyrockets. Is when you're on an island or when you're doing that yourself, it's tough. So yeah, it's that's really that's really sucks. I've done it before. It's tough. But I think one thing that people, and to kind of expand on that, I think thing that people do not so well is when they're packing their clothes.
Yeah.
And Norway was a good example of that because it's cold. So, and me being a desert rat, I kind of packed everything I owned, right? Um, you know, just a set of boots takes up half a suitcase because they're big galoshes basically with thinsulate inserts, and then you throw a whole bunch of socks in there, and so it can get out of hand real quick. But realistically, when we're looking at dive trips, what are we wearing, right? We're wearing like the same rash guard over and over again. We're in the same pair of pants that we just kind of get in because maybe we have a lull in diving. And then pack plenty of underwear. That's always that's always a good policy. Pack lots of underwear, and then really you only need your flip flops, a pair of shorts, and the same rash guard that you're going to dive in if you're doing some Caribbean stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what people do is they pack a set of jeans. They pack this and that. They're going out clothes like
Nope.
I'm not single. I'm not impressing anyone. So
Yep.
I'll wear the same damn rash guard, for 2 weeks in a row, just to make sure, I wash it once in a while. So I think that's where people get into trouble is their clothing. I think the dive gear is going to stay the same, right? Maybe some extras here or there, but the clothing is where people start really stacking on the volume and weight.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you're going to end up stinking by the end of the week as it is, right?
Yeah.
So
I
It's diving, you know?
I agree. It's clothing and accessories. I'm of the mindset if I'm going for a week, I'll bring a clean pair. I'll wear a pair of shorts to fly down there, and then I'll make sure that I've got a clean, unworn pair of shorts to fly home, a t-shirt to fly home, socks and underwear to fly home. I will have clean socks and underwear for every day, but like a t-shirt, if I come back to my room, if I'm staying at a resort or something, if I'm done for the day and I take a shower and go to dinner and then maybe I go back to my room or something, then I will take that shirt and those shorts and wear those the next day.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like if I'm not wearing that shirt all day, then I'll wear that shirt all day the next day.
it's more like an hour count, not a day count when
Yeah,
it comes
yeah,
to clothing,
yeah.
right?
How much did I sweat in this shirt?
Yeah.
Does it smell funny or can I get by with wearing it the next day?
Yeah, it depends on humidity where you're at too,
Yep.
right? That's why you definitely have to bring underwear and socks for sure.
Oh yeah. I'm not wearing underwear the second day in a row unless I absolutely have to. I'm not wearing socks the second day in a row unless I have to. But, I will pack extra t-shirts. I will pack extra pairs of socks and underwear. Shorts or kind of whatever. I don't like wearing jeans or long pants, period. And I'm certainly not going to wear them in places where it's ridiculously humid like Mexico.
So I'm gonna kind of differentiate or be a little different than that. I will wear pants when we're going out to places like that because unfortunately I like to get eaten up by mosquitoes.
That's fair.
So you'll see me wearing long pants when we're sitting on the beach somewhere out in high humidity areas.
No,
unfortunately.
thank you. I'm also not packing towels to bring down there.
No,
I'm not.
If we're going on a boat, yeah, but like if we're going, to a resort, yeah, they're providing towels for sure.
What?
When you tried to pack those towels down to Cozumel last year,
Yeah, that was for a boat towel.
get out of here, guy. There's towels at the resort.
Take
The
that
only
thick
towel,
towel
the
on a boat
only
like that.
towel that I pack is my little roll-up microfiber towel. And the only time I ever take that is if I'm going on Blackbeards or if I'm going on Bottom Scratcher.
Well, yeah, I bought one of those. Now it's in the dry. Now it's in the
Yeah.
dry pouch in my stall sack.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was before I had that. You take a thick hotel towel on the boat.
Yeah.
But once you
way.
start diving dry, then you probably won't need one. for
Right,
the
because you
bottom
don't need to
scratcher,
dry off.
other than when you get out of the shower.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I mean, sure. But if you
On the bottom scratcher, I just roll out of in that weasel. I just roll out of my dry suit into the bunk, and then
sleep in your
it's-
weasel.
I sleep in the weasel, man.
Oh my gosh,
and,
it's so warm.
and it's a sleeping bag. It's great. And then I wake up and just hop back in the dry suit and back in the water.
I think I'm already sweating thinking
You're
about
an
wearing the weasel
absolute
right now.
psychopath.
I might be a psychopath, but
But you're not cold.
okay.
He's dry.
Whatever.
DJ.
I like where this is going. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to let you try that weasel after this podcast is over.
I do want to try it. Because when James, the last time you brought that over for Matt, I was looking at that and the first thing I thought of is, oh man, I could use one of these to sleep in when I'm deer hunting.
Oh, 100%. For sure. Next time we do some cold weather camping, I am definitely taking my Venture Heat. You betcha, because that underneath the hoodie sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I guess there's some people that work in the deep deep freeze food industry where they have those big warehouses
Yep.
that are just
yeah.
freezers, and they wear weasels.
No way.
I believe it.
They're in the freezers all day long, and they wear a weasel, and that's their like work attire, which is insane. But
That's crazy. All right. Well, I think that's good for the night. We've talked about our process, kind of our thought process on what we do for. I just went brain dead for a second. Our process for what we do for our travel, whether it be, a shot to Catalina or something, or to Mojave where we're driving and taking our gear, or jumping on and, a 4 to however long hour-long international flight to go to the nicer places where it's clear and it's warm and it's humid and I don't want to wear pants.
Yeah. The differences also between technical diving and recreational diving travel.
Absolutely.
Definitely talked about those.
Yeah, there is a lot more that goes into it. I know that, like I was saying earlier, whether, my dive kit is my dive kit. So whether I'm going ocean diving or cenote diving or going cold water diving for that matter, it's all the same. It's just what else is packed with it. But the core gear stays the same. I don't have a different BC for, cold water versus warm or travel versus not. So,
Yep. And one other piece of information, always double check you have your passport before you leave the house.
yeah.
Don't want to get to the airport and
Yep.
find out that you left it on the counter.
Yeah, that's going to make for
Not a
a
good
really bad dive trip.
Somebody's missing their plane.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everybody. It's good seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great to see you guys. James, thank you for calling in tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, James.
And thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Fat
Yeah, guys.
out. Bye.
Thanks.